Hello, travel business owner. Rita here. So nice to have you here on this Friday. Oh, yeah. A little musical entertainment there for you. Today is the last Friday before Prep for Wave Week. Woohoo! So, if you haven't heard about Prep for Wave Week and what this really is, I encourage you to listen to the first 10 minutes of the last podcast episode because I outlined it so super in depth what it's about, what it's for, what will happen during the event, and as well all the different options that you can get yourself into the event. And so for those of you who did listen in on that very lengthy episode, thank you so much. I know it was packed of information, so you may have had to take like a couple days to listen in on that one, as we did a replay of one of my sessions from last year's Prep for Wave Week. And we're also going to do that with this week's episode. So be sure, if you haven't already registered for Prep for Wave Week, head on over to the show description for the links to register. You can also head on over to travelbiztraining.com right now to get your registration in there. Registration does begin at free for the basic videos and just to get access to the recordings. And then there's a couple different tiers to get a little bit more access and more accountability as well. But this presentation, I'm sorry, I blanked out there for a second. This presentation aired last year. It was on day 5, expansion day, all about building relationships and how relationships can really take your business to the next level. You're going to hear a little bit about my backstory in there, but I wholly believe that if you are stuck on trying to think of other marketing avenues for your business, if you have not first exhausted all of the relationships that you've had and built a lot of relationships for your business, you go back to that because that is the foundational element of building your business. But without further ado, enjoy this episode, this replay from last year's Prep for Wave Week. Thank you, everyone. Hello, travel entrepreneurs. Welcome back to our final day of Prep for Wave Week. It is expansion day. I have been your host, Rita M. Perez, fellow travel advisor, as well as marketing strategist, helping business owners to gain a little bit of clarity and reduce their overwhelm when it comes to marketing, especially with social media. And I hope that you have really enjoyed this week. Today is expansion day, but I also feel like it's very important to kind of get back to basics and not underrule, for lack of a better word, the importance of relationships in this business. It's something that I wish, now looking back, I had done more of creating relationships both in this industry but outside of this industry, because since I put this to plan back in 2020, if you haven't heard a little bit of a background, at the end of 2019, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do things differently. I'm going to be a travel business owner. And so I'm going to get out and network in my local community and meet people so I can generate some more revenue and really be able to do this full time. And then we all know what happens. But before the pandemic really heavily started, in February, I attended one event, one of the events that I had searched for to get out of my comfort zone and start getting into the community. And that one event was the catalyst of so much personal growth, professional growth, and I feel like it's all a part of what I am calling the MCC method, the Meet, Connect, Convert method, for how you can get people in your, funnel, for lack of a better word too, because I know funnel, you usually use it for marketing, but it really is almost like the client experience, the client journey. Clients have to meet you in some way in order to know about you. I know a lot of people like using the word attract. I'm not a big fan of attract, even though there's certain things that you do have to do to attract. I think attract in some way can be a little bit passive. And so that's why I say meet. You have to physically or virtually meet people that can be in your space. And these people are either going to be people who are going to do business with you right now, they're going to do business with you at some point, or they're going to refer business to you, or they're going to refer opportunities to you so that you can meet more clients or give you exposure, give you visibility. So how are you meeting people is the first thing of my method. The second thing is, once you've met them, how are you going to stay in touch with them? And I know I've touched on this before at some point in the podcast, but you can't like be at a networking event with somebody, jiving, having a great conversation and be like, hey, do you want this free download that I have? I can send it to you. That just sounds so funny. Instead of like talking about lead magnets and things, your lead magnet that way when you're meeting people is like, hey, I would love to have a coffee chat to get to know you and your business a little bit better. And then that can open the doors to, well, I have an email list or I have a podcast or I'm always posting on social or I have a weekly live or whatever. That is the connecting part. Once you meet them, wherever you have met them, how are you keeping that conversation going? Because it is through conversation that we build the connection that will eventually lead to a conversion, that they have become a paid client or that they have referred a paid client to you. So that is meet, connect, convert. So talking about expansion, let's just dabble in a little bit. I'm going to get my little whiteboard going on again. Ooh, where did my text go? All right, so meeting people. Let's do that. How are you currently meeting people? And there are so many different ways. I will tell you that some of the ways that have worked for me for influence is through that, like going to in-person events. What types of, and if they're not networking events, are they in-person meetings? And when I say in-person meetings, is it like a local mommy group? Is it the rugby group? Is it the divorced wives group? Who are your people? And this is why I say you need to know the foundations, because you need to know where they're hanging out at. And so actually, I'm recording this after the sales study hall where I mentioned a couple things like, are your people insurance people? Is there an insurance conference coming to your town? So let me add that here. So conferences that are not within the industry. That's something that came up in study hall, is that we're going to so many industry things, but are those really propelling us forward? They can, because we do need to be making those connections and relationships, especially with suppliers at these events. But are there other industries, like maybe you know that you have a very high male audience, or you're just in that male, you're male and or someone who identifies as male, or your group is men, and like maybe it's a car show, maybe it's a boat show, a yacht show, whatever it is. If that's where your people are at, then that's where you need to be going. So in-person events, conferences, just networking events or women's groups. I don't want to say kind of like some of the typical things that I want to like think out of the box. Like that's all about what expansion is. So yes, like you can go to your chamber of commerce, or you can go to like paid networking groups. Those things have worked. They do work for other people, but I want to think not the normal. One of my very good friends in this industry, Jenny Center of Celtic Heritage Destinations, has been for years telling me that I need to join Rotary, which is a community organization. It is an organization where I pay dues, but I also do a lot of really great things in the community, like helping with the food bank. And so those community organizations, they're really service organizations. My reason for joining that was a couple things. And it was really, I wanted to get out there and meet members of my community, because I wasn't currently doing that because I was scared to, quite frankly. Second of all, I felt like I was in a place or in a position that it was time for me to start giving back to my community. And kind of those, like just wanting to get out of the house, wanting to, like, everything that I do, or most of the things that I do, are virtual. I wanted to get out of here and I wanted to get out there, but I didn't just want to get out there with such a business focus in mind. So while I know first is about service and serving other people, those relationships and when people are going to get to know me and who I am and learn about what I do, they are either going to want to work with me or they're going to want to refer me out. And again, this is not everybody. This is the people that I connect with. And that has been so huge, not only for me to get in front of new people, but also to increase the confidence that I have in myself as a business owner, which I think is huge. And that's a big thing that we've been talking about in these study hall sessions. Speaking engagements. Is it speaking that? No, speaking engagements is something that you can do. It's not something that I've done. Let me just add it to the list. So I know that there's a travel advisor who will host speaking engagements at the library. She's not allowed to sell anything at the library, but she is able to educate people, and she focuses on river cruising. So she's able to educate people about the amazing things about river cruising. Or maybe your topic is France travel or African safari travel. What can you do that will elevate yourself as like a thought leader, which is speaking at, and I'm pretty sure, well, when you're speaking at the library, since you're offering them something, you don't have to pay for that. And while you're not allowed to promo essentially, or like make an offer at the end, because it is at the library, those people now know you, they'll want to be connected with you, and they know that you're an expert in a topic because you have just given a presentation on said topic. So what are some sort of speaking engagements? Is this by going live? Let's put that live on whatever social platform. So live on social platforms are ways for people to meet you. And I say that because if you have someone sharing that, so going live necessarily is not a way for people to find you. I want you to think about that also, because people need to know about you and to be aware of who you are. So really going live on social platforms is more of a connect method, but if people share you, that is another way for people to meet you, is to get on other people's audiences. Hold on as I type this out. And that has been something that has been really helping me out. And I say that this is like a great testament, is very meta, this prep for Wave Week, because you probably may not have known who I was unless you have like listened to the podcast, if we've worked together, if we met each other in person. But a lot of you have gotten now into my world because somebody who I interviewed promoted this series, the Prep for Wave Week series. So what can you do to collaborate with somebody to get in front of their audience? You get in front of their audience, they get in front of your audience. So it really is a win-win situation. And both of you are really showcasing your expertise. How can you get on there or in front of their audience? And that's why I really love podcasting, because not only is it a networking opportunity with a different it doesn't necessarily have to be a travel business owner, but another business owner or somebody who's a thought leader or a local celebrity, whoever's hosting this podcast. Now they are having you on their platform, and you've been exposed to so many people who may not have heard of you or may not have known you before. So I love getting on other people's podcasts. Now, I mentioned social platforms aren't really a place for people to find you unless you're doing certain things. But I do have to say that LinkedIn is one of those places where not only I have found people to network with, to partner with, like many of the speakers, it has been through LinkedIn, but it has also been through like me creating posts and other people in my network commenting or liking or engaging with the post. As soon as somebody does that, somebody in their network can now see my post. And if they like it, if it resonates with them, then they'll be like, I want to know more about this person. So that's why I love LinkedIn as a social platform, because it really highlights in a level that you can't get on some of the other social platforms like Facebook and Instagram, which I love Instagram. So another thing that I wanted to touch on with the in-person event. So that one in-person event that I went to back in February 2020 introduced me to a speaking coach. And she had a lot of different programs. And one of the programs that she had was about virtual networking. And so it was through that virtual networking. So if people are hosting virtual networking events, which I love because it's so convenient, I don't have to go anywhere. I'm probably already dressed up at home, but really only dressed up from chest up. And I love it because I have been able to connect with so many people, not only in my local area, but nationwide, that I would have never been able to connect with before. So that's like virtual networking, I feel, is where it's at, and not a lot of people are talking about it. Another way that I have met people, and I will say this is through social media. So if you know me, I'm an autoimmune person. And I follow a strict diet. Well, I was following a strict diet. I need to get back on the loop with that. But when I was heavy into it, it's such a restrictive diet that I feel it makes travel hard if you're strictly following the diet. And so I had come up with an idea to create a special cruise based with this group of people. And this is like the power of attending events that are outside of our immediate travel industry, is I attended an event virtually about this special diet and about autoimmune patients. I connected, from there, I connected with the person that put on this event through my actual personal Instagram account, because I didn't know if I wanted to do this like on a professional account. So I sent her a message just asking like, hey, I think that you put on this event. Did you actually put this on? And she said yes. And I was like, I just thought it was a really great event, and I'm actually inspired. I just started on this diet and all, and I know it's very restrictive, and I'm in the travel space. I wondered if you might want to speak about possibly working with me to put together a cruise for people with this special diet. There can be some education. We can have personalized menus. Is that something that you would be open to having a conversation about? And she said yes. And so, because of everything that's happened with COVID and all that, obviously this cruise has not happened because of so many restrictions, especially in this world. But I have been introduced to so many people within this world. I actually will now be partnering with a coach for the special diet who lives in France and will be putting on retreats at her little B&B in France. And so I was recently reached out that if anybody needed help with their travel plans, because for a lot of people this was going to be solo travel, if I could assist with these things. And that's just the power of connection. And that's also the power of being open and putting yourself out there and being bold, is that you just don't know what's going to happen in the end of it. And even if it happens to be a no, do it, ask it, say it, because you never know where it's going to go, but it helps you build your confidence in yourself. So if you do get a no, that may knock it down a little bit, but keep going out there, because the more no's you get, obviously you're going to be getting a yes shoveled in there, but you just never know where this can lead down to. And I'm kind of becoming-ish, I am on the path to becoming a travel leader within this community. And who knows what kinds of things can lead from this opportunity. Alrighty. So that's a couple ideas and like personal stories about meetings. So I hope that has been helpful, and that it's also been helpful that it hasn't been like in a stereotypical way of what we usually talk about meeting. So in-person events, conferences in other industries, networking events, community organizations, speaking engagements, going live on social platforms, getting on other people's audiences, and LinkedIn. So let's talk a little bit about Connect then. And so you heard it a couple of days ago on Marketing Day. One of like the immediate things, like once you're meeting in person is, or even virtually, like I told you with that special diet, do some sort of coffee chat. And this is not a discovery call. A discovery call is for a client that is interested in working with you now. A coffee chat, the purpose of a coffee chat is to get to know someone else better, as well as their business and what they do, and also see how you can both support each other and further your businesses. So a coffee chat is essentially what I did with this special diet, like just talking about possible opportunity and wanting to get to know what she did in the industry, and she learned what I do a little bit. So I think like that's the most obvious thing when you're meeting somebody in the wild or virtually, where it's not, utilizing a lead magnet. I think it is that connection. And like once you've made the connection, how can I keep in touch with you? So is that through some sort of email list? Are you sending out weekly emails? Are you doing a weekly podcast? Are you going live on your social networks? Let me add that one again, live on social networks. Are you looking for opportunities to connect/meet? Hold on, what is this thingy? What are you here for? Sorry, I'm getting to, and you probably won't even notice it. Hold on, okay, there we go. Are you connecting with other people? So because of a post that I saw on LinkedIn, because of engaging, so I think like that's also like engaging on social posts is one of the important things, because social media has to be social and you have to engage in it. So if you're telling people to follow you on a social network after you've done a little bit of connecting, just make sure that you're not posting and praying that something happens. You have to be commenting on their stuff. They have to be commenting on your stuff. If they comment on your stuff, you better be commenting and liking and engaging back. That's kind of like, that's the tit for tat, almost how it goes on social media. Because I've engaged with so many people and been able to connect with so many people, specifically on LinkedIn, new people are always popping up on my feed because of that feature that LinkedIn has. And so their posts pop up in my feed. I'm able to see what kind of networking events, like there's a networking event that happens monthly where they invite like two business owners to be like speakers, and then everybody like goes into breakout rooms and talks about like the topic that these people talked about. And I met somebody who talked about human design, which is something that I have been interested in learning more about. And it was just so cool, like how that connection and like how just energy and everything works. But you have to be open to finding this. You have to be open to connecting with other people. And so I feel like that's why I say engaging with other people's posts can also find new ways of where you're meeting people. So through connection, you can also meet other people. Let's see, what else can I add to the connection list? Coffee chats, email lists, podcasts, live on social networks, engaging social posts. Are you putting some sort of educational event on for the current list, for the current people on your list? Oh, connection, direct mailers. Somebody brought this up to me that I did not include this in my tech talk the other day. Direct mailers are something that I utilize to connect with my audience. So I actually stopped emailing my travel business clients this year on accident. I just wanted to take a break and I haven't been emailing them. So maybe I get back next year on that. But in place of emailing them, last year I had started something called the Cruise of the Month postcard. And so I would interchange between an ocean cruise idea and a river cruise idea. And the front of the card just like gives some basic details, like where this actually goes to, what pricing, balcony pricing starts at, who is this best for, and what are some of the things that you can do. And on the back of the postcard, I have like, hello, whatever month it is, and just like a little blurb. And this year I have added a QR code. So if whatever topic of the postcard is, they can immediately go to send me a request through that QR code. And so I know a lot of people are always asking, well, has anything happened? Has anything happened? Recently, so November's postcard, because my postcards go out the first of the month. And this year I did want to highlight a lot of European river cruising, or even African river cruising, I think. So November's postcard was highlighting Christmas market cruising, and I got an inquiry from that. And that's the first inquiry. I've been sending the postcards for 2 years or almost 2 years, and I got an inquiry about doing a river cruise. And so I asked for more information. She's thinking about the Rhine River. And I like it because I was like, oh, shoot, like this person, I know that this person used to be a budget person, but I have it listed on the card that this is where the pricing starts at per person. So she's already aware. It's kind of like I'm prepping them in advance. So I'm not really worried about price at this point because I've set the stage up, and I've essentially almost sold the idea of this, that they are ready and they want to find out more information and they want to start booking things. So I am really excited. So stay tuned to how this unfolds. But on top of those types of direct mailers, I do send out thank you cards with this system. The system, if you haven't heard from me previously, is something called Mailbox Power. And so I have all my direct mail items. It is automatically like scheduled and sent to go out. Like I have to set it up at the end of the year for the beginning of the year. And then I can forget it, which is why I love this tech, because it is essentially, I am paying less than $100 a month for my virtual assistant to send out these cards. And it's really just the system that's sending out the cards. So I will also send out birthday cards through this system, and it will personalize it with their names and information. I will send out thank you for booking with me cards. I will also send out holiday cards. So that's something that I actually have to design for the end of this year. And I do all my designs through Canva. So I do have an affiliate link for Mailbox Power. But if you're wanting to find out more, I do have a couple of resources within the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur Facebook group. I have also done a couple of episodes regarding direct mailers on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast. And I'll go ahead and I'll set up my affiliate link, because if you're going to sign up for it, I would really appreciate you signing up under my link. Thank you. But that's an out of the box way that not a lot of people are thinking. Like, I know birthday cards, holiday cards are kind of typical, but sending like a monthly, whatever is your niche card, kind of like ups the ante. I feel like it has, in a sense, replaced the emails, and it's not like it's going to get buried in email overflow with all the 400. I have like 400 emails that I haven't read. It's something that goes into their mailbox. It catches their eye because it's talking about travel, and it's also not one of those things that, you know, a supplier has put out, which is nice. Those things are nice, but it's coming direct from you and has your own branding on it. So those are a couple ideas of connecting with other people. And then, of course, we have convert. Once you have the relationship down packed, how is this all coming to converting to sales? So I will put convert equals sales here in the box. So I think, like, especially when I'm talking about like this being my method, I'm meeting, connecting, converting. I just sold, the contract is like signed. I have my professional planning fee. I met somebody through social media. We both were connected to a couple different people, but we had never officially met. She had reached out to me because she wanted to have me on the podcast talking about what I do, which is planning retreats on cruise ships. And she had considered this being something that she wanted to do. So I feel like we got in each other's world first quarter this year. I'm not really sure on dates. The podcast episode, I think with her on her podcast with me on it as a guest, went live in May. And I believe August, September, she had already reached out to me that she was ready with another coach to plan their own business coaching retreat on a cruise ship, and they wanted to utilize my services. And so we are now there. They have converted. So I met them through a mix of social media, but other people's platforms. We connected because we stayed in touch with each other via social media. But then also I was on her podcast, and she also listens to my cruise retreat podcast. And that all led up to her converting to be a paid sale. So when I say that this method works, it really works, but I can actually give you like a real life example of how it works. Another way through social media also that this has kind of worked. I haven't converted yet, and we had to cancel our coffee chat. Thank you, Hurricane, and everything else. But I have been following somebody, and this I feel like is another meat way, is following people who you want to do business with or who you admire. Following key people. I'll add that. He talks about all sorts of like business things on his he started out like as a podcasting person, then he kind of like turned into like a side hustle, like let me give you a couple of these different ideas on Instagram. And he had asked something about like reels on Instagram. I answered this question, he came back to me, we did a little back and forth, and he's like, I just went to your profile and I saw that it says you bring online communities together on cruise retreats, and I would love to bring my community together. Like, how can I do this? How can I learn more about this? That's where I'm saying, like, I'm not a huge fan of the word attract, but that magnetic messaging that I had, because it utilized the words that identified him. He has an online community and he wants to bring them in person. That's the type of messaging. So we had to meet. He would have never messaged me had I not answered the survey question that he had and opened the door for that conversation. So it is about putting yourself out there, even if it's something small like answering a survey, to open the conversation. Like, really, that's what meeting and connecting is about. It is meeting new people who you may not have had access to before, connecting with them on some level. And this is not just about like making money for your business, even though like that's the end outcome that we all want. We are first all humans and we have human experiences. So what can we relate to each other? And so conversions meets sales. So how are you doing that? Are you inviting them on some sort of call? That is what your discovery call literally is about. Are you inviting them on some call? Is this through Zoom? Is this through phone? They might be ready, like to pull the trigger. They may not need to go through this whole connection process. They may be ready to be like, I met you, I like you, let's go ahead and book whatever it is, travel. Some people that happens, and that's amazing when that happens. But there is a process of things, and things don't stop at this converting era. There are things that you have to do to keep the relationship going. So, and that's why I say, when you're thinking about taking relationships further in your business, what are things that you can do, which is also kind of like a bit of connect. It's almost like this should be MCCC, because there should be another connect at the end of this, because it is, maybe I might change this, we'll see. But that it really is almost a cycle that you have to, let me just add it, we're gonna invite them. I think a lot of what we do is, and sometimes it's mindless, so we have to be more thoughtful about it. We put up a post, ask for the sale, but then there's no connection. So it feels like a dry post to somebody that just has gotten into your world. And that's why it's important, like when you're doing your social things, to make sure that you're engaging, like, what did you have for dinner today? What's on your bucket list for this year? Check yes or no if you want to go here, or whatever it is, like some sort of engagement for your social posts, instead of always asking for the sale. Because this is a very important thing too, is that it has been proven that you need to give value, sell. Give value, sell. So I think we've become so fixated, and not fixate, maybe fixate is not the right word, but so poised that we need to be giving value, that we've forgotten that we also need to sell. Like, the point of giving the value is to get the sale. And you cannot get the sale unless you're constantly connecting with people, and unless you're constantly connecting with people and asking for the sale, asking for the conversion to actually happen, which happens through a discovery call on whatever platform, It happens through inviting them. I think like converting part is really simple to the sense in that there's not a lot of stuff that you have to do in essence compared to, what I have listed here to meeting and connecting with people. There's a lot of different avenues to do that, but selling to people, I feel like maybe it's more complex in what exactly are you going to sell them and how are you getting on their level to identify whatever it is that's bothering them and has caused them to come to you to work with you. And it's almost that you need to really get in their shoes. And I know we talked a lot about this yesterday on sales day. To be able to, it's not just, hey, do you want to buy this cruise for me? It is, I understand that this may be the last time that you guys get to take a family vacation. And I understand that and I respect that. And I know that it can be a stellar vacation with me at the helm planning so that you don't have to worry about any of the details. I just want you to focus on loving your family before your eldest goes out on college or goes out to college. Being able to relate to that level. It just hits me that we need a more human element to sales, especially in our industry. That it is not just a cruise to celebrate the graduation of the eldest person in the family. It is possibly the last time the whole family might be together because maybe this person is going to out-of-state college, or maybe this person is going overseas for college, or maybe this person is joining the military before they enter college. So what can you do to enhance those memories? That is the part that we need to be going from when we're talking about sales so that it is easier to convert people, because now I feel like you have a stake in the game and that you really care about me and that you understand how important this trip is. And again, like there's different levels. This can be like, I just want to party because it's my bachelorette party. Well, how do you speak to that? That you understand, and you are the best person to match them. So while there's no like technique, I want to say it almost is a technique of understanding being in their shoes. And I think it's a lot of empathy, which is what Ann Smith and Jackie Roby from yesterday were really touching on, is to really be in tune so that we can convert those sales. And I think that's just I was like, I could keep going on and talking about how else, but this really is how you can expand your sales and how you can expand your reach is really through this method, this cycle where you're meeting people, connecting with them, converting them, and connecting with them again. So it's almost like, woo, because then it should get to some point where you are doing such a great job connecting with people and converting with them and doing a great job on their trips that you may not need to do so much meeting of the people, because you are getting referrals or you're automatically getting exposure from other people's audiences here, because people want to share your content or people want to have you on to share your expertise with them. So tied up in a nice bow, I really hope that you have enjoyed this session, that you have gotten some real world tangible things. I believe I went too long on this session also, but again, I wanted to pack this in with a lot of value for you. This is, depending on when you're watching this may be the last session that you watch in prep for Wave Week. So we've met each other. We've hopefully connected either in study hall or through these different sessions that I would love you to convert to being in my world. And maybe it's not now, maybe it's down the road, but please stay connected with me through the social channels. Look, I'm so meta, like doing all the things that are on here. Please stay connected with me either through the Facebook group, on Instagram, Also, on the Strategic Travel Entrepreneur podcast, a super sincere thank you so incredibly much if you have shared this with anybody, for attending this and like really putting in time to learn more and hopefully take action on some of these things that you have learned. Because even more than the learning, even more the attending, it is really what you do from here, from Prep for Wave Week, that can really influence how your wave season for 2023 will be and how your travel business will be from here on out as well. All right. That is it. I have been your host. I've been so honored to be your host, Rita M. Perez of Take the Helm, fellow travel advisor and marketing strategist. And until the next one, I've enjoyed having you. I'll see you later. Bye.